Industrial heritage.
Profile. Professor. Tuesday.
Hello. Hello。
我一会儿3点终于约到了那个国台教授来的。
什么？
就今天下午3点终于约到了那个国台教授，就是那次我们俩就是一直发公那个发了1个月的那个。
挺好，挺好的。
然后一会儿就见见他，因为我实在没找到那个我的摄像头，都很尴尬。大概就是。
我那屋确实没有，我已经找遍了，真的。早上的时候我找了，真的没有。
我觉得这可能是在我家吧，因为我也不知道搁哪儿。我大概，我觉得可能待不了特别久吧，可能就1个小时，我可以去健身。
那我那什么，我可能我已经来了快1个小时了，我估计也快回去了。那我想，你几点结束啊？今天课
5分钟以后就这样。你干啥？
没有，我说你可以就是你大概几点结束？我在这等你。
咋再说了？他5分钟之后就开始了。
5分钟？那你快准备。
Heritage. Requirements.
In China.
City. City. Copper. I.
Oh, hello, Professor. Hi, Professor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you, but I don't see you.
Because my camera broken in these days, and I borrow someone. Some others didn't have the camera, so I.
Okay, don't worry, don't worry.
Ah,
How are you?
I'm fine, very fine.
Oh, okay, finally we can talk.
Thank you a lot.
Sorry, I do not remember how you arrived to me. So you have never been my student. I'm wrong.
No, it's true because we meet several times on on online. It is a school meeting. It's a DAD meeting. Yeah, and I know you first, and the second is I because I didn't I don't know find which one to be my final serious professor and some students
Mhm.
because they have already graduated and of the sustainable this part and also you are their computer so they advised me to connect you because they said you're a good professor so I connect you.
Sorry, just because your voice is very noisy, unfortunately, so I can grab something, but not every word. Just in order to be sure, you say that you are already graduated in architecture for sustainability, isn't that?
Yes, and also yes, almost that.
Okay. And so I don't understand what do you need from me because if you are already graduated,
No.
what?
I not graduate. Just get some
Okay.
advice from them to find the tutor because
Okay.
find professor.
So if I correctly understand, you are at the end of your academic career and you are going to graduate and you are looking for a tutor. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And sorry, what kind of program are you following? Are you no, you are not a double degree student, I suppose. You are enrolled in Polytechnico as an official student for the 2 years of the master's degree, I suppose. Is that correct?
That what is the double
Can you?
Double degree means that you are
No,
that you are not a student of Polytechnic Auditorium, but you are a student from another university, and you are studying here for a period, let's say for 1 year. But I
no.
suppose that it is not your case. I think that you made all the master's degree here in Torino as a student of Polytechnic. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Just in order to understand better now, because we have a bunch of different personal situations about the students.
Yes.
We have students that are here just for 6 months, just for 1 year, for a double degree, or just a student exchange. So it is always important to have a complete framework of every person in order to understand their plans.
Okay.
And I'd like to understand what are your programs about the graduation. When do you plan to be graduated to close your thesis?
For me, because I passed all the lessons and finished the internship almost several months ago, so I plan to graduate as far as soon as possible. So for me, it's more possible is from December because September is not possible, and yeah, it's like almost like this.
Okay. Well, yes, as you say, you already said for September it is impossible. For December, it is not impossible. So if you want, we can aim at December. I must say, to be honest, that it is very demanding as a task, because it is not that simple to do a graduation thesis in such a short time.
Okay, understand. I think it's a good advice, and I will think about it.
Yeah. I don't honestly. Probably, I'm very used to work with Chinese students, and I know that usually the Chinese student has got the capability to work, which is very impressive compared to the other students, especially to the Italian students. So I know that probably you are able to do a lot of work in very short time. But my advice, this is just just a warning. I'm not saying that you cannot graduate in December.
Okay.
The warning that I would like to give you is that normally, since a research work like a thesis is not just a mechanical work. It's not just producing a certain number of drawings or maybe something like that, but it is an intellectual work. And so it is not a work which is progressing every day at the same pace. There are some periods where you don't produce anything because you are collecting ideas, and then you accelerate your production and so on. So it is not that easy to plan an intellectual work so complicated as a graduation thesis in such a small time. But anyway, I think that, as you say, we could aim to December. I think that for December you should at least able to have a thesis in some sense, and then when we will approach the date of December, it would be I will say to you what I think about the thesis, and then it would be up to you to decide if pushing the work fastly and to graduate in December, or maybe if you want to wait until February, which is the following date.
Okay.
But the final decision will be yours.
Okay, understand.
Okay. So let's talk about your work. Yesterday, I took a look, very quick look, glimpse, I would say, to your document. The topic is very interesting, in my opinion. Probably if you want, you can summarize your attempt, your goal in 5 minutes. If you want, you can say something so we can plan too.
Okay, thank you.
If you want to share your screen to show something, I can make you able to do it.
Okay,
Do you need to do it?
Yes, I maybe show it's
Okay.
better.
Okay, starting from now on, you are able to share your screen. So if you want, you can open your
Okay, let's see.
documents.
I find some.
As you are doing that, you said that you received some suggestions to do the thesis with me. Who told you to? Who suggested you to do the thesis with me?
Because
Just a curiosity.
yeah,
Just a curiosity.
yeah, because for sustainable, this master degree also Australia is very popular, and many students choose he, Chinese students choose he, and I found he and he talked with my serious first, and but he said he can't alone to be the computer because the system.
Okay.
And I saw that he also with you help a lot of people to do the series. So I try to connect with you and waiting the reply like
No,
this.
I asked this because it was quite strange to me because I'm not teaching in that master's degree. I teach in the architecture construction city, and besides this, I am the reference faculty for master for architecture construction city. So it was quite strange in at the beginning to understand why you arrived to me, but it was just a word.
Okay, let's see. I was sharing my screen now. Yes, maybe come from the picture is better, and oh, this is the site place, and it is located in the. I'm sorry. Oh, maybe because the color is changed too lot. I'm sorry, and maybe I mean it is in the center of the China and in the center of the province, and this is it is the province map, and also it is the city we choose want to do the study. It's Jianxi Desert, and it is in the it is city industrial history is from the almost 17 years ago, and I searched from the government website and think and to try to know how the industrial every year change and like this, and I also joined the picture of the industrial map. Uh, because this today is 2022, and I from the I do some map to use color to show the age of the city, and like this, and this is a map and a different type of the land, because also need to think from the environment and urban this part to think how they are today. So I also try to know the environment, green trees situation and type of the land to think about it. And I also this part is from the almost 17 years ago. It is Chinese first mm, uh, into a new period, and under the Sui University, because China is, at that time is very not have so too much money, and and in and some ways to change the country. So this how the Chinese make it into a agriculture country, into industrial countries, is because this 1 and 56 this kind of project under the help of Sui University, and I want to study it because this plant is also under the use, so they can prevent all the plant, and also it's close to the environment is here is close to a park. This park is also history is longer than the plant. It's almost yeah. So I mean, it is many people will come here, and this plant is also maybe now it's its use, but about 3 years later, it will move to another place. So I think it's need to think how to protect it, and maybe can do it something for it. Maybe so otherwise it will be delayed from the history. Yeah, like this. So what I want to do, this is last month I tried to do, but in the August I tried to make it more clearly and choose one topic to do deeper. And this is the factory situations, and it is have a park and a river, and yellow part is the land didn't use, and also the factory here. This picture is I searching from the from some other papers, and I try
Sorry,
to.
sorry, just one question. All the industrial areas, those ones that were painted brown in the previous drawing, are they supposed to be transformed in other purposes, areas, or not? I mean, when you show now the entire map, you shown before an entire map that was where the paint, where the colors were showing the different uses. Yeah. The right picture close to the picture. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. All these. Yeah. Luoyang Brewing Factory, Luoyang #1 factory, and so on. Are all these areas supposed to remain productive areas, or are they supposed to be changed and to be transformed in something else, to be renovated?
I for Luoyang, this city, this is more popular from the history because the government try to make its city into a history city because it have almost 500 ago a lot of building a dynamic built here. So so more policy and more space, new and more in atmosphere is for the history. So this factory is now from the government, and and I think it is more than 20 years ago. The government tried to change it because factory in the city is will do a lot of pollution.
Yeah, but sorry, I probably I did not explain myself very clearly. I'm just saying a very simple thing. Here you are showing a map which tells me that nowadays this area is an industrial area. So my question is very simple. Is it supposed to remain an industrial area, productive area, or is it supposed to be transformed in different part of the city?
Understand. This part is besides the Luoyang Coal processing plant. Other land is some part is changing to some other function like this because the land is sent to different business people and change something, because it's also a core point, and that means the center part of the city.
Because
So,
look into this picture, it
yes.
seems that this area is very clearly divided in two parts. The northern part is the productive parts, which hosts all the productive activities and so on. And the lower part is the done way, so the residential part and
Yes,
so
yes,
on.
almost like this. I try to search some information. Yeah, it's more like your side. I
Okay. And sorry, just another question, more methodological questions. You are showing here in these boards a lot of drawings, some maps, and so on. Where do they come from? Did you do those maps? Did you make a personal reelaboration of these maps, or are they just official documents that you retrieve somewhere in literature?
no, because I grew up in this city and lived this city more than 20 years.
Oh, it is your city. It is your birth city.
Yes, yes. So I
Okay.
uh,
So you are an insider.
yeah. So
Okay.
I know a lot about it. So I try to draw it. Oh, Professor, this is a map you just saying. I also draw it. It is structure is more like your side. It is a factory and green area, residential and business, and some other. It's a little sense and education area and the production factory. It's more like this structure.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So what is your purpose? What you are planning to obtain? Do you want to work on a master plan for development of the entire area? Do you want to work on some guidelines? Do you want to study something that happened from a more theoretical point of view? So I'd like to understand better what are your intentions about this place.
Okay. For me, I think first is because although it's a history industrial block, but it's a little bit difficult for me to study all the areas because they have a lot of factory. I need to collect information. So I think maybe last month I think maybe I can focus on one to think about it like this, and
but sorry, when every time we work on a research work, the most important thing that we should focus on is the expected result of the work. So a research work could produce in architecture, of course, could produce a lot of things. It could produce a more architectural proposal, which is more focused on a single building or a groups of buildings and so on. Or maybe it could work on a more, a more urban proposal, which is a proposal for development, a kind of a master plan. Or maybe it could work not on a single design proposal, but maybe it could focus on some guidelines that would be maybe useful for the people that will be charged to make the real project for this transformation and so on. And it is very important that you start at the beginning of your work, that you focus very clearly and very rapidly about what you want to obtain, because according to the different results that you are going to propose, you will do different things. So it is important that you focus on that. And so normally this is called in the research world, this is called the research question. Which every time do a research, you should ask yourself, am I looking for? What I would like to do with my work.
Yes, understand. Let, let me organize myself.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
because
You don't have to answer me right now, but I think that it is a question that you should ask yourself and
Yeah,
trying to answer to yourself very rapidly, very quickly.
Yes, because I have written the study approach because it's a very important question. Need to also question myself why do the serious about it. It is I study it because key point is about urban reduce the history plant, and first is think about the policy from the China and from the some other countries, and to study some point to as like it. And second is to focus on this factory, maybe it's one factory situations and how they come and the factory history, and from some books of the factory, and also think about the and also take some picture to see the value, maybe the cultural history value to do analyze about it, and also to and also because it's a factory from the government, I think I need to think about the how to, because the government changed the big factory, also think about some energy such as from the what's the maybe it's less some residents who living in the city to question them how or what they are thinking about it, and also think about the government policy because the Luoyang is city, which is more focused on the history, and it is a factory, although in the is a key point project, but they didn't. I mean, protect it also have some problem. Maybe can think about it, and also besides that, and think about like this, and also think about some reduced methods, such as because they have some tabs to change. Yeah, since the tab, which tab to change, like this, and the significant is maybe is because although they are underused, but but it have sign in the document that they will change to another place 3 years later, and maybe in this time we can do something for it, and think about which kind of tab it can change, because for in the cultural values to think about it, it is to try to protect all the factory. Maybe is more useful because if there have a lot of memories and also a lot of things, because it's a factory. Factory have many steps. It can use fully if we organize good. So it's more like this, and also this have a river beside it. So this factory will have more combine or link with the local people. So this is what I want to do. It's more like
okay.
this.
Sorry, could you go a little bit up in the document?
Industrial
at the beginning.
buildings.
Yeah, to the 3 points. No, sorry, the 3 points. Yeah. No, up. Yeah, here. No, stop.
Okay.
No. This probably at the beginning of the document, you were showing your purposes.
Oh, abstract. This
Go
one?
up. No. This is at a certain point you write the purpose of this thesis and so on. Yes. Purpose of the study 1.4.1. Okay.
Okay.
So this is very important because this. Oh, sorry, I lost it. Could you go there, please? 1.4.1.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why. Yes.
1.4.1.
Heritage conservation.
Okay, this page. Okay, stop here, please. Okay. This is very important because here you clarify what are your aim. What is your aim? And you say three things. You say that you want to systematize the theoretical and practical successful experiences through a comparative study of the current situation of industrial heritage conservation and use in China and abroad, and so on. Then you say, point two, that you want to take the development of young copper processing plan of the main body, the research analysis, used to judge the industrial architectural heritage, examine research value, and so on. And finally, the third step, to explore and study the reusable code. Well, I don't want to say that these three topics are wrong. My only concern is that probably if you really would like to do all this work, probably you will need 10 years to do your work. And so my suggestion is to try to focus as much as possible on a very crucial topic, on a morally minded topic, because you are just one person. You have very limited time to do the thesis, and besides this, you are not there. So I think that the number of documents and things that you can retrieve is not so high from here. So, in my opinion, your program is too ambitious, too much ambitious for the time being. I think that you should try to reduce it in order to go deeper in the details of the study. In order to do that, I would like to suggest you this. Normally, when you do a thesis in architectural design or in urban design, like in this case, there are many possible approaches. You can start from everywhere. You can invent your methodology. But two of the most common, the most usual approaches are, the logical deductive process, logical deductive methodology from the general to the specific, or the induction process, which means from the specific case to the general arguments. The first one means that you start from a very general literature, a very wide argument. You study the literature, and then you arrive to study a specific aspect of this topic, of this problem, and then you try to study the specific topic thanks to a case study that you can retrieve somewhere else in the world, and you do your field work with this. The second one means that you start from a specific case, like for instance the case of these factories in Loyang, and studying this specific case, you gradually increase the field of your interest, arriving to an international literature. And so you frame your specific case in an international debate. I don't know which one of these two approaches you are going to follow, you're going to choose. In my opinion, since you are facing a very specific case with a particular history that you know very well because you are from that city, so you can have actually a series of documents that would help you a lot about that. Maybe I would like to suggest you the cyclic approach, which means starting from a specific case and then trying to enlarge the field of your interests and arriving to an international literature framing of your case of study. In my opinion, this would be very interesting.
Okay.
Always keeping in your mind that the difference, the very difference from a research work and the professional work of an architect, for instance, is that the professional work not is aimed to arrive to a project. Okay, when you are working on the redevelopment of a building or a part of the city, your aim, your final goal is to produce a project that can be delivered to the institution, to the stakeholders, to every person that can do the transformation. And once you arrive at the project, or probably at the end, once you realize the project, when you do the project, your work is finished. Instead of this, when you're working on a research work like a thesis is, your work is not designing, is not working for, your aim is not the project itself, but the project is just a means, because your aim, your final goal should be saying something more general, something that can be bigger than the specific situation that you are studying, which means that you are studying the industrial area of Luoyang, not just in order to solve the problems of this neighborhood of Luoyang, but in order to make some more general considerations that maybe could be useful also for other cities in China or in Henan or in the world. Okay? And so this is very important, because in all your study, what is very, very crucial is that you are always able to take the specific things that you will discover in your research about Luoyang and to bring them into a more general international debate.
Okay.
Have I been clear about that?
Yes, understand.
Okay. So, in my opinion, what I would suggest you to do, I saw your index. I think it's a good work because your index is very well done. It's very nested with a lot of subparagraphs. So it seems that you have already a quite clear idea about the contents of your work. Probably the index will change. Probably we will move something during the making of your work. But for the time being, I think that it is not important. I think that you can start developing the contents of your work, and then you will decide how to move them and how to fill the gaps in your reasoning. What is important is that, first of all, I would suggest that you start from an international literature review, which could be very important, a specific literature review, which means that probably there will be some books about the history of Luoyang, the recent history of Luoyang. You don't have to start from the Middle Age or from the ancient times. I think that in your case, you could start from from the industrialization of this area, probably during the Popular Republic of China, or probably after, not before, because I don't think that this previous history is relevant for you.
You just said the part is maybe in the index is 3.1.
Yes, that one.
This one.
Yes. I think that maybe in this case you could combine the specific analysis about the history of the industrial part of Luoyang. So in order to understand better how this area was created, for what purposes, and how it was transformed, what are the possible future outcomes of the transformation, because I think that the city itself will have some ideas. Probably there are some official documents of the city that will that are trying to forecast the future of this area. So this is a site-specific part of your investigation, which is very important in my opinion.
Okay.
Besides this, I think that you should, as we said before, you should widen your field of study. So trying to make a literature review about similar cases, at least in China. For the moment, we could limit ourselves to the Chinese transformation. Probably we will enlarge again this field to international cases. But I think that if you start framing your specific case,
Professor,
yeah.
you think the point is also I think is at the beginning. Can I open the files? Maybe they are here.
Yes.
This is the topic I want to choose as the
Yes.
beginning.
Yes.
And the first two is very large view to think about the Luoyang. Like you just said, maybe from industrial models and reviews as a case to study and.
Yes, that's so, but with a warning. Your aim in this case is not systematizing everything has been said and everything has been done in China about this topic, because I can assure you that could you spend your entire life in this test. I think that you should only try to find the most relevant contributions, both in theoretical sense and in practical sense, which means books and papers and projects, and trying to give, a precise but at the same time a synthetic idea of what is the present debate in China about this topic. You know that the topic of the industrial legacy preservation is not a so long debate in China. It has been originated more or less at the beginning of this century. Before there was not so any kind of debate like that in China. Instead, unlike what happened, for instance, in Europe when this kind of debate was originated at the end of the 70s, because we faced the problems of the deindustrialization starting from the late 70s in Europe. And so, starting from that period, there was a growing debate in Europe regarding the preservation of the industrial legacy, industrial buildings.
Okay.
In China, this debate is something 20 years, more or less 20 years late. Okay, but I think that if you can work trying to give an overall idea of this debate, of what is going, or how the things are going now in China, I think it would be a very sound support for your reasoning.
Okay. Okay. So, Professor, the title need to change something. The title, because now is protection and reduce the heritage, city, case study of Luoyang present. Is the title need to change after your thing?
Honestly speaking, this title I think is not effective, not suggestible, because it is quite boring, and probably it could be reduced a little bit, and it could be a subtitle. Maybe I cannot suggest at the moment what could be an interesting title for this work, but we could suspend the decision about that, and we could decide it after, as your work will grow and will be developed. Honestly speaking, this is not so interesting as a title, but I think that the problem of the title is the last of our problems. Besides this, I would like to tell you that abstract doesn't mean anything. Probably you were meaning to write abstract, not abstract.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Typo, don't worry. Don't worry. He's a false friend, probably.
Yes.
No, okay, but let's make a reminder in our mind for the title. But I don't think that you should be concerned about the title right now. We will change it after, when you will be able to understand the best title for your work. Besides this, I would like to tell you one thing, because this is a research, a work about urban design. So you are supposed not just to write, but you are supposed to produce drawings, I think maps or sections or
Professor,
3D visualization.
For now, I just writing the map is from view from 3 parts is the traffic, and also from the building situations, and also think about the factory in the map. I also build the model and to think which because it's reused, maybe think about the factory. So I do a study about the factory and
Okay.
sorry, it's not this.
No, I would like to tell you one thing which is very important. So not just one thing, several things. The first one is that since this area is really huge, could you put up a picture of your entire area, please?
Yes.
This one?
Yeah, this one. Since this area, sorry, I'm trying to write here. Since this area is really giant, I think that, as I told you before, it is almost impossible that you can work on the entire area. Probably you would be able to make some very general considerations about the entire area, talking about the relationship, for instance, with the city center, talking about the way it is linked to the system of roads, talking about the presence of some natural elements like the river or like the green and so on, this general strategy about this central green area and so on. So these are very general strategies that you can explore, and probably you can deal with these problems, but it is almost impossible that you can do much more than this for the entire area, because you don't have time to do it. Once you will understand these most important things, probably what would be interesting, at least in my opinion, is that maybe you could work on a stripe of land. Probably you could select just a stripe of land like this. This is just an example, and trying to work on this stripe of land, because in this sense you could capture in your drawing both the former industrial part and the runway area, so the residential part, and this buffer zone which is in the middle. So probably this could be a kind of specimen, your work, which is an example of how you could propose a strategy for the work of the entire area. So this could be a suggestion that I give you in order to explore your area. It is always like this. When you have these giant areas, you cannot work on everything. So you have some general strategies about the infrastructures, about the buffer zones, about the green areas, about the natural elements and so on, the road network and so on. And then you find some focuses, or maybe just one focus, like I showed you today, which is representative of a strategies that can be extended to the entire area. So you could work like this. Do you agree with that?
I first think about this good advice. I was thinking how to deal with it, but I mean how to writing or how to design with it and how to rename the title. Professor.
Sorry, I really have some problems in order to understand what you said because it is very noisy. Could you repeat what you said?
Okay. Professor, so if I study it, is the title is to reuse the whole area, is and give it a strategy, right?
Yes, you are saying that your attempt is to study the entire area. Is that correct?
Yes, because in this area, I also in this picture. I'm sorry. Go here. Yes, you can. If you just decide, it have a residential, commercial, and a street here, and the street.
This is just a part of the area. I mean, this is the copper factory, isn't it?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
And I mean, how to organize to analyze this logic? I mean, how to organize the analyze logic? I mean, writing logic, such as if you use your way, that means to think about, because factory also can give into a residential, and which
No,
is
I was just saying something which is more simple. So in this analysis that you are showing right now, you selected a specific part of this neighborhood, okay, which is the northeastern part, the copper factory, okay?
yes.
Okay. And so you are working only on this. You could do that, but since the entire area that you shown before,
I'm sorry,
okay,
you're drawing something and it is disappear. I'm sorry.
okay, since the entire area, can you see my
Yes,
pen?
I can see.
Okay, since this entire area is supposed to be transformed, to be renovated and so on, it would be quite weird, quite strange to work only on this sector starting from the beginning
Okay.
without understanding the destiny of the other parts. Because nowadays, for instance, you are saying that this is a central green area, but nowadays this is not a central green area. This area is occupied by buildings, and so this is completely different. So it is quite strange to design just a tile of something which is supposed to be transformed as a wall. So what I would like to suggest you is to trying to do your analysis, to do your work, first of all, at this urban scale, which means that you could work on some general maps of this area that could explain, for instance, how this area is connected to the other parts of the city, what are the most interesting parts. This central green area, I don't think that it is a proposal by you. Probably it is something which has been proposed by the offices of the city, because this is okay. Probably you could also try to modify some things. So, for instance, since here you have the river, probably you could also try to understand how to link this central green area with the river with some green passages, maybe like here, or maybe in other cases, and so on. So I think that you need, in order to concentrate, before concentrating yourself on the Loyang copper processing plant, I need that you should do something, say something about the general framework of transformation of the entire area. Because otherwise, you could do a wonderful project for the Luoyang copper processing plant, but if the entire area is supposed to be transformed in a completely different direction, your beautiful project will be completely upset. So
Okay.
every time we are facing a world transformation of an entire part of the city, it is important to understand what are the main strategies that will be developed. After that, of course, you don't have to understand what kind of building will be built here, if they will demolish something or something else will be preserved, and so on. This is a more detailed part of the transformation, which is not interesting for your work on the Luoyang copper processing plant. But at least the role of this infrastructure, this central green area, these connections, the relationship with the river and the river banks, the relationship with the other parts of the city, and so on, these things should be understood, because otherwise it is really impossible to say something relevant about your area.
Okay, understand. Professor, I think about what you said also, and write the object. I'm sorry, not object. Index also. Can you wait me 1 minute and I find it? I think about your project and think about what you said. It also confuses me a lot. They are.
Okay.
Because
Sorry, I beg your pardon, but I don't have so much time, because in 10 minutes, not more, I should exit.
Understand.
No, I just would like to tell you one thing which is very important. Okay, so I think that you have two different things to do in the next month. The first one is to write texts, so your theoretical research. And the second one is to draw, to make drawings about analysis and about projects. Okay. I suggest you to work contemporarily in these two fields, because they are, I mean, the reciprocal influences are very important. So normally, when you write something, writing something about this topic can give you some ideas that can be explored with the drawings. And in the opposite sense, when you draw something, you get some ideas about the transformations that can nurture your theoretical research. So I would like to suggest you to bring these two parts of your work together. One of the things that I would like to suggest to you is to keep very well separated the drawings that do not belong to you, which means the official master plans of the city, every kind of map that you can retrieve on the web or maybe on official documents and so on, from the drawings that you are producing. So the drawings that are made by you. Okay. In a thesis, in a thesis of architecture, normally the most important drawings are the ones that you produce, because they are original materials. So they are not materials that have been produced by someone else that you are just grabbing and using in your work. But also the other documents are important, because they can scaffold your reasoning, they can give you some ideas for working. But keep always the things separate. The second thing that I would like to suggest about this is very typical in Chinese students, because I think that it is something that you normally do in China. I noticed that in many cases you do some colleges with a lot of pictures in a very close space, with photographs, with maps, with graphs, and it is very, very confused. I would suggest you to take your space for every kind of drawing. Don't compress too much the things in a single page, because otherwise the things become very, very small and it is not possible to understand anything. This is very important. And finally, now it seems that you produce some boards because the pictures that you showed me before are organized in a single board. So it is like a board for a design for a design exam. Since this is a thesis and a thesis is supposed to become kind of a booklet,
Yes.
I don't suggest you to work with this kind of template, with this kind of organization, with the boards. Because if you have to organize your drawings in single boards, you spend a lot of time in order to do a work which is not useful. Because when you will produce your book of the thesis, your pictures will be scattered to the document and they will be disposed according to the text, or according to the reason. So I don't suggest you to waste your time with the production of boards because you don't need boards. It is not a competition of architecture or an exam of architectural design. This is a thesis. So you are supposed to produce some separated pictures that can explain your ideas, your findings, and so on. But you will use each one of them very freely in your text.
Okay.
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 So you can save time in this case. Like
Okay.
what you like.
Okay. Professor, this way is you just think that maybe is think about the factory as a industrial history groups, and to is correct. I'm not sure.
Sorry, I did not understand your question. Sorry.
Yes, because you advise me to think about several factory into a group. So it can they be understand as an industrial heritage group?
Industrial heritage group.
Yeah.
What do you mean with the industrial heritage group?
That means the several factory are here and also green, cultural green, and also sub-residential. This place is
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yes,
you
yes,
advise.
that's so. Yes,
Yes.
that's so. But well, in very simple terms, the picture that you are showing right now.
Yeah.
If you look at this picture is painted. Some parts which are painted. Okay,
Okay.
and the parts are the part of the factory, the
Yes.
part of this supposed central green area, which is nowadays is not a central green area, but probably will be in the future. The
Yes.
Soviet style neighborhood area with the education research style and the park. Okay. So if you look at this picture with all these areas together, they identify a specific neighborhood, a specific part of the city, which is consistent. So you cannot decide the destiny of a single factory, of a single former factory, without knowing anything of the destiny of the other parts of this neighborhood. Because otherwise, probably you could make some assumptions that are wrong. Probably you could decide that an access point to your factory is correct, but probably it is not correct at all because the main road is passing from another part of the city. So anytime you are facing, as I told you before, a process of transformation, of city transformations, which is regarding an entire area, an entire neighborhood, you should always make up your mind about the general strategies of transformation, not about the details, not about the very specific changings, but about the main structure of the transformation. Once you have a precise idea of the general transformation, and you don't have to be limited to the simple description of this transformation. You can interact with this. For instance, if you don't agree with this very linear central green area, but let's suppose that I'm just making an example, of course. But if you say that this central green area should be something more irregular, maybe wider or thicker, and so on. So you say, no, I want to grab some more terrain from the other part in order to obtain a wider part, and you want to create all these as a green part. You could do it. If you want to create something that can reach the embankments of the river in order to create a green connection with the river like this, or maybe if you have something here, I don't know. It depends.
Okay.
It depends on the specific cases, but you can change it. Okay, but this, as you can imagine, this is a very general framework which is necessary for you to go deeper and to decide the destiny of this specific area.
Okay,
Because if you don't know anything of the entire strategy, you will not have arguments to propose anything about this area.
Okay, I understand. Professor, because if I want to graduate in these years, maybe I need to submit a title before September 1st. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, it is the rules of the submit.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we have 6 days to decide the title.
Yes, almost that. And I don't know you. Because I communicate, talk with actual material, and I don't know. You want to be tutor or tutor like this?
But do you have another tutor?
No yet, because I first talk with him and then connect you. So and yeah, it's almost we
Well,
can
let's say
discuss.
that for me, it is the same thing to be tutor or co-tutor. My only concern is that if you are, I mean,
Yes.
if you are planning to find another tutor or another co-tutor, I think that it is quite late.
Yes.
Because,
Yes.
yeah. And so probably I would suggest you to work like this with me if you want. I don't think that you need a co-tutor. In some cases, it is important,
Okay.
but
Yeah. Okay. I understand. Thank you.
okay.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, talking about the title, let's say like this. Probably you can make up your mind.
Yes.
And you can send me some proposals in the next days, and then we will interact with by email,
Okay.
and we will decide the title before August 3rd, in order to make you able to communicate the title. I would suggest you to think about the title which is more contemporary. Normally, a good title for a book or a research is a concise title which doesn't say exactly what you are doing, but which grabs the most important aspect of your work. And then a subtitle which is explaining exactly what you are doing. For instance, do you know the famous book by Thomas J. Campanella about the recent transformations in China? It is called The Concrete Dragon, China's Urban Revolution and What It Means for the World.
Okay.
Do you know that book?
No.
No, okay. It is a very interesting book because it is a book about the research. And by the way, I would like to suggest you to take a look at this book for your research because it tells a lot of things about the recent urban transition, the Chinese contemporary cities in the last decades. So probably you can find a lot of interesting reasonings for your work. But in this case, I'm talking to you about this book because if you look at these, let me say if I can find it. Okay. I can put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Let me see. Chat. Okay. I sent you on the chat the link in Google Books.
Okay.
But besides the supposed importance of this book for your research, what is interesting in this case to me is the title, which is exactly formatted like I told you, because the concrete dragon doesn't mean anything. It is just, I mean, a poetical picture, okay? But it suggests you something. And then you have a subtitle, which is a more, I mean, a more objective subtitle, more scientific subtitle, which says China's urban revolution and what it means for the world. So when you are facing this book, this research, you are attracted by the title, and then you have subtitle which explains what you are saying. You are not supposed to propose a so poetical title. Maybe you could do something more plain. But I suggest you to work in this sense. I mean, a more concise title and then a subtitle that can explain what you are working on. And probably your subtitle could be protection and reuse of industrial heritage in case of Loyang copper processing plant and so on. This could be the subtitle. We can change it a little bit, but this could be the subtitle. What it lacks here is the title, is the eye-catching title.
Okay. Understand. I will look the books later. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I think that's all for the moment. Sorry, can you visualize your bibliography for a moment?
I haven't read. I forgot to read this part. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I suggest you to normally when you start the research, the most important things that you should do are the abstract, and you did the abstract, the index, and the bibliography. The bibliography is very, very important. Because I know that many persons think that the bibliography is something that you do at the end of your work, and it is a simple collection of the titles of the books and the papers that you read. This is completely wrong. Normally, the bibliography is an instrument of work because when you explore the bibliographies, you can build in your own mind the geography of the international debate about a specific argument. So it is very important that you start right now to build your personal bibliography about this argument, and that you implement and you extend your bibliography during the entire process of construction of your thesis. And besides this, I would like to suggest you to work not just on a simple bibliography, which is a simple list organized for alphabetical order or maybe year and so on. But I would suggest you to make a reasoned bibliography. An organized bibliography, which means that when you're working on a topic like this, you have several specific arguments that you are treating. I mean, the history of Yang, the transformations, the recent transformations in China, in Chinese cities, the debates about the industrial legacies in China, and so on. So you will have different aspects that you will touch in your work. And it will be interesting that also the contributions that you are reading for your work, like the books, the papers, and so on, could be gathered, could be organized for specific arguments. So you will have a bibliography. If you do like this, it is like virtually build some piles of books on your desktop, and each pile is dedicated to a specific argument. And this is very, very useful for your work. If you work like this, it will be much, much easier for you to propose new reasons and new theses about your arguments.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I know. Thank you a lot.
Okay. So when you're ready, we can meet once again, and please write me some proposals for the title.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor.
Goodbye.
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 Glad to have a nice day.
Prego. Buchetti.
Oh.